Hi, it's Chris Kerr with the Professional Speakers Radio Show, and our very special guest today is Marilyn August. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here.
It's good to have you. We have some very interesting conversation ahead of us, and we're going to start by having you do a little introduction about what you do to help companies master their LinkedIn results.
Well, what I do to help them master their LinkedIn results is basically to do it for them all the way up to, but not including the first phone call. My goal is to have the sales process streamlined so they're talking to targeted, qualified prospects or leads. I don't call them a lead until they've actually had the first phone call.
Yeah.
So they're prospects. So I use LinkedIn as a social selling platform, similar to as if you would go to a large networking event, except instead of talking to Sally Sue, who sells something that your client would never want, and you get pitched by Sally Sue, you're targeting your market on LinkedIn because there's 650 million businesses on LinkedIn, and each one of the employees typically has some sort of a profile on LinkedIn. And as I said in my last blog, there's no gatekeepers on LinkedIn. You can get to some very significant decision makers on the LinkedIn platform. So I help them streamline their sales process.
When you talk to salespeople or sales managers or brand managers or business owners, what's the number one complaint you get about working with a platform like LinkedIn?
Oh, this is what I hear all the time. I'm so glad you asked this. I really do feel for salespeople today. It's so confusing. I say in my, it's never been so easy to prospect and at the same time so complex. So the number one thing I hear is, I know I ought to be doing something. I just don't know what it is.
And it's changed.
I hear the shoulds.
A few years ago, the big deal in LinkedIn was selling by not selling in groups. So as long as you're putting your content out in groups, you were making bank because everybody and their dog was engaged. And you could put offers in there, but it was separate from the content. And of course, LinkedIn did its wonderful magic and got rid of most of the valuable tools in that. So now it's just content, and you're spraying and praying is what a lot of people are doing. So the question is, how do you get results like I think his name is Wisniewski or Gary Vaynerchuk without having to put in the volume of hours that it takes to be a content master like those two seem to be?
Well, I think content management is an entirely different conversation. I don't think they're doing it themselves. They've hired somebody. Please know that the people that, I'm not familiar with those names, but those are probably very well-known names. They have hired somebody to take care of the content creation, content development. They are not doing it themselves. There are larger companies and not so larger companies hiring people to manage, content managers. It's a whole new marketing category, and they will tell you, you need this, you need that, you need X, you need Y, you need Z, you need everything under the sun. I call it spaghetti marketing. Mm-hmm. And there's no strategy behind it, because who's telling you to do that are the people that want to sell you that.
Yeah.
And it reminds, so it's the distinction between sales and marketing has blurred. And I think that's another issue that isn't being addressed in most companies today. I have a very simple definition of marketing. Marketing is an invitation. It's visibility, it's credibility, it's knowing that I'm genuine, I'm real, I'm not a scam artist. I'm trustworthy. And sales, unless you're selling a commodity, a price-driven commodity, is a transaction. It's a human factor transaction. Even today on subscription services, the SaaS things I'm getting, they give you a human being now. Okay, that human being comes in through email, but when they're trying to sell me the CRM that they're trying to sell me, gives me a person while I'm on their free trial. So sales is transactional and marketing is invitation. And LinkedIn, it blurs the lines between the two, but it would be wise to treat LinkedIn as a marketing platform. It is not a selling platform.
That's a good explanation of it. From the perspective of the marketing platform, the challenge I guess LinkedIn has given itself is it's given itself a tripod of what it does. Obviously, number one, it's the number one human resources recruitment platform on the planet. Nothing comes close. Indeed, may result in more people getting hired, but the actual verification, the interviews, everything is based on your LinkedIn profile. So really, we're talking about something that is dominant when it comes to recruiting. When it comes to business ad sales, LinkedIn kicks everybody else's, took us left, right, and center in very narrow industries with very narrow parameters. Outside of that, it's a very expensive way to lose a lot of money. Then you have the opportunity to network as a business networking platform. It is almost unparalleled. How you network in Facebook is not less powerful, but it is very different. As far as a direct being able to see who you're talking to, what their background is, all that kind of stuff, LinkedIn has that sales intelligence built into it that you can't get anywhere else. So then you have the content marketing that we were talking about before with your posting in groups and whatnot, where you now build an audience. But just like Facebook, your audience is only a small percentage of the people who actually are in your network. So the value of these three legs is at the very most predicated on building the engagement. So from a salesperson's point of view, you may not control the content, you may not control the recruiting, you may not control any of that stuff. But what you do have in your control is engagement with you as a networker. So what would you say is the biggest challenge salespeople or sales teams have in understanding how to network through LinkedIn?
Well, that's a great question. I think there's so many. And I think your analytical mind is breaking this all down into A, B, C, D, whereas it's really a strategic sales process.
That's true.
And yeah, you gave, there's this switch. Now, there's no question in my mind, and this may get me in trouble with Microsoft. There's no question in my mind that Microsoft is having a little identity problem, deciding what LinkedIn is. There's no question about that. They provide a recruiter software. Sales Navigator is a sales software. They want the same ad revenue as Facebook has. So they're going through, in my opinion, an identity crisis. That apropos of nothing, that makes no difference to a salesperson. So the salesperson, if they can go back to the olden days when they think about a handshake, when they think about getting to know somebody and not jumping into their features and benefits. First of all, I'm an advocate of problem solution selling, not features and benefits. Features and benefits have gone the way of the 90s, and I can't believe that sales training is still teaching that, and people are still doing that. But the number one challenge, first of all, is how to present themselves on LinkedIn. The profile doesn't work, nothing else works. I mean, I'll laugh at half the profiles I see. You can imagine I read a lot of
Mm-hmm.
profiles. A profile is a mini website. If you've got a garbage website, no one's going to do business with you. If you've got a skinny profile, you're not real. Now, the fact that your profile comes up on page 1 of Google, and of course, everybody with your name comes up on page 1 of Google, but you said it. You're being checked out. People check you out. 77% of buyers check you out before they do business with you, particularly if it's a purchase of any value. So if I look like a jerk on LinkedIn, or my favorite pet peeve, and I've got a number of pet peeves, we probably don't have time to get to all of them, but my favorite one is the profile that is a resume. I've actually talked to people, I've had people call me, and I'd say to them, are you looking for a job? And they'd say, no, I'm a salesperson. I said, oh, your resume looks like you're looking for a job. Because it's all about what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
And frankly, I don't care. I'm a prospect. I want to do business with you today. So that's how Sticky Profiles was born. Because I could not, with my own integrity, tell people that I could prospect for them on LinkedIn when I looked at what they had written and I wouldn't read it and then talk about LinkedIn and what they do and don't do. They made those summary statements, 2 lines, and then you've got to click. And any web designer knows what happens when you've got to click.
Yeah.
So the profile is critical for sales success. You don't have that, you don't have anything. And the other thing, Chris, and let me know if we're running over time, targeted prospecting. That's what LinkedIn allows you to do that you can't do on Facebook, you can't do anywhere else. You can't even do it at a networking event. You can target your prospecting on LinkedIn.
So,
have we run out of time, or
we're going to have a break in just a second. And the awesome part about this is that it really highlights the difference between the people who are actively engaged, for example, as salespeople, versus the people who are actively looking for work as salespeople. So you can separate the SEO qualities or the searchability factors for those who are looking for work versus those who are doing the work, and it makes both sides be able to filter things more effectively. So really cool information on that. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Marilyn about sticky profiles, and in particular, about a little bit deeper into virtual networking. Hang on tight. We'll be right back.